Every year in free agency, there's always the teams that absolutely dominate and pick up players that eventually go on to help them win the Stanley Cup, which is the ultimate goal. But there's also signings that you question and scratch your head. So what we're going to do today, let's go through all of the signings on July 1st, and then we're going to put all the teams with like updated teams in NHL 23 and see who does the best, who's going to win a Stanley Cup, and if any of the free agency players make a huge gap. Right now, there's still a couple players that are free agents, so I have them just in the free agency list in NHL, but I'll show you that after. But let's start by going through a little bit of the signings. So the first one, I'm not going to go through every signing here. I'll try talking about the big names and ones that I think will be very valuable. But I know Detroit had a big weekend, or kind of a big July 1st with all of their signings. It started with Klim Kostin, which was a trade from the Edmonton Oilers. For the Oilers fans, you hate to see this guy go. He was an absolute beauty. He's young, big body, very well liked in the dressing room and on the ice. Scored a couple big goals. You got Ottawa re-signing Brandstrom. OEL moving to the Florida Panthers for a one-year deal, $2 million. I like that because most people would give him more than 1 year and a lot more money than that. Jesper Fast gets a deal with the Carolina Hurricanes. Ranton Nieto. Luke Shen moves on from the Toronto Maple Leafs to the Nashville Predators for about $3 million a year. A big one here, Ryan Reeves is off to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Doesn't say here, but I believe it was a 3-year, $4 million contract, so about 1.33 mil per year. But I think that's a great signing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Just get a little bit of grit and power, protect the Stars, Austin Matthews, Mitchie Marner. So I think that was a good signing by the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then JVR going over to the Boston Bruins, who they're coming off a disappointing but amazing season. I think we can all agree where, they should have probably won the Stanley Cup a first round, up 3-1, and they end up falling to the Florida Panthers. Blake Wheeler and Jonathan Quick both head over to the New York Rangers. A little bit of veteran leadership there. The first major signing of the day, Ryan O'Reilly does not re-sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Wasn't an issue with term or money. He just did not want to play in Toronto anymore as he wants to win. So I don't know if Nashville's the correct spot there for him. But $18 million, 4.5 per year for 4 years. So that'll take him up to he's 36 years old. What else we got here? Freddie Anderson re-signs with the Carolina Hurricanes on a very, very good deal, in my opinion. 3.4 mil per year for 2 years. Not a lot of risk there. Tyson Jost, however you pronounce it, off to the Buffalo Sabres. The big signing for the Ottawa Senators, Jonas Korpisalo, the goaltender, $4 million per year for 5 years. We'll keep going through this. Connor Brown over to Edmonton. James Reimer resigns. Cam Talbot goes to the LA Kings. Milan Lucic's coming back home to the Boston Bruins on a 1-year, $1 million deal. And this right here is the worst signing of the entire free agency, in my opinion. Justin Hall, former Toronto Maple Leafs defenseman, gets a 3-year deal worth $3.4 million a season. This guy should probably be getting league minimum. In my opinion, he's terrible. Every Leafs fan hates him. He kind of the scapegoat, to be fair, but that is a big deal. But it looks like Detroit can afford it for now. Going to keep going through all of this. Dmitry Orlov gets a massive contract from the Carolina Hurricanes. 2 years, $7.75 mil per season. So he got paid. Mike Riley, Max Pacioretty heading over to the Washington Capitals on a 1-year, $2 million deal. If Pacioretty plays, it's worth it. The problem is he's very injury prone. Gustav Nyquist over to the Preds. Craig Smith to the Stars. And then we got Giovanni Smith. Denisenko gets an extension. Tokarski, Highmore, Matt Duchene gets bought out by the Nashville Predators and then signed by Dallas. Dallas would be my early favorite in the simulation to win it. Drake Caggiula, Justin Zucker gets a pretty big deal on Arizona. 1 year, $5.3 mil. Michael Bunting leaves the Toronto Maple Leafs to head over to the Carolina Hurricanes. 3 years, $4.5 mil per season. And Carolina, they made a lot of big signings here. I think they're responsible for 3 of the big signings that we've gone over really quickly. Keep going over here. We got Malcolm Subban, Josh Jacobs, Donato, Vladimir Nemastenkov, who's going to get, $2 mil per season. Good deal for him. I don't think the value is that bad. Alex Killorn signs a very, very big extension here with the Anaheim Ducks. So I don't know how to feel about this one here. 6.25 mil for 4 years, 25 mil total at 33 years old. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Kulikov is going to the Florida Panthers. Logan Brown, Tristan Jerry re-signs with the Pittsburgh Penguins at $5.38 million for 5 seasons. So just a little bit more than the Korpisalo deal. Nedeljkovic, so they signed 2 goaltenders here. He gets 1 year for $1.5 million. Ryan Graves goes over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, $4.5 million per season for 6 years. That's a big pickup there. Jonathan Drouin heading to the Colorado Avalanche. I think that's a good pickup for Colorado. And then we got the New York Islanders with 2 big signings here. Pierre Engvall, 7 years at $3 million, so just locking him up. And then Sorokin, one of the best goalies in the entire NHL, 8 years at $8.25 million. So definitely want to lock that guy up. That's a good signing for the New York Islanders. They also bring back from Orlov at $2.75 per season, which seems a little bit high for a backup, but if he's going to play well, it's okay. Scott Mayfield, 3.5. Bowen Byram gets a bridge deal here. I believe it's a 2-year extension, $3.85 million per season. Lars Eller, didn't even know he was still in the league, if I'm being honest. Eric Gustafsson, this is actually a low-key good signing for an offensive defenseman. 825K, you can't really go wrong. Toronto making a splash here, picking up John Klingberg, 1 year, $4.5 million should help their offensive upside. But I honestly think Eric Gustafsson was on their team last year. I would just keep Gustafsson over Klingberg. Their stats are really not the biggest difference. So, and it's $3.5 million cheaper. So that's my thought. Alexander Kerfoot gets a signing to the Arizona Coyotes. Shane Gostisbehere headed to the Detroit Red Wings. And then we have Christian Fisher also going to Detroit, and Evan Rodriguez just signing, as I'm recording this, to the Florida Panthers. So let's send it over to NHL. Let's go take a look at the rosters and simulate the year and see who is the real winner of the free agency. We're heading over to NHL 23 now. And so what I did for all the free agents that were really high overall, like Patrick Kane, Tarasenko, Patrice Bergeron, I added them all to the Ottawa Senators, and I'm going to put them in the AHL squad, so they're not going to be affecting the simulation at all. Otherwise, any team could assign them. So you can quickly go through the overalls here. We got the Ducks. Obviously, Killorn was the big addition there. Arizona, a couple players there. Boston, I'm not going to go through all the players, but Milan Lucic, and I don't know who this Anthony Richard guy, but he has a superstar X Factor. Never even heard of him in my life. Buffalo, we got a couple players in there. Jack Quinn's 81 overall now in the game. The Carolina Hurricanes, they made a couple moves here with their squad. I think defensively they added someone too. Dmitry Orlov, there it is. I'm going to keep going through the Columbus Blue Jackets. Patrick Laine, obviously. I didn't think they made too many trades. Same with the Calgary Flames. The Chicago Blackhawks obviously have a completely different team here. And they have a lot of X Factors on their team, actually. Taylor Hall, and obviously first round selection, first overall pick, the phenom Connor Bedard, Taylor Radish, Gust. I don't know a lot of these players. Tyler Johnson and Anthony Siu. Oh, and they signed Corey Perry. I forgot about that. And Nick Foligno. So they've got a little bit of a gritty team down there on that fourth line. The Colorado Avalanche. Jonathan Drouin's got a superstar X Factor. And he's going to be playing with Rantanen and McKinnon. So I imagine that's going to be a +5 on that line, which is going to be a really good line. But this is probably my pick. If I were to choose someone to win the Stanley Cup through the simulation, this team looks pretty damn good with Duchene being added to that first line. They got 6 superstar X Factors on their top 6, so it's a pretty insane first top 6 there. We got Detroit, who made a lot of moves here on their squad defensively. They got, obviously, Shane Gostisbehere playing with Mo Seider. Justin Hull, what a signing. Moving on to the Edmonton Oilers. They lost Kailer Yamamoto and Klim Kostin, but they got Connor Brown in there to replace him. So I think it's a good replacement. Florida didn't make too many big moves I don't remember seeing defensively. The only thing that I think the biggest addition is probably Oliver Ekman-Larsson on the squad. The LA Kings, Kevin Fiala, finally healthy and playing on that first line again. But they did make a trade for Pierre-Luc Dubois just before the free agency opened, and he got signed to an 8.8 million, 8 years, $8 million deal. Not updated in this, but that's the contract that he is on in real life now. The Minnesota Wild, Kailer Yamamoto gets picked up to go to the Wild, apparently. I don't remember seeing that. Nick Patan, not a high overall team there. The Montreal Canadiens, Slafkovsky, they picked up Harvey Pinard. No, they didn't pick up Harvey. Where is the guy they drafted? I don't think he's in the lineup, which is fine. The New Jersey Devils, Obviously, Timo Meier got signed to that massive contract extension before free agency, but a pretty good team here. The Nashville Predators, Philip Forsberg, Ryan O'Reilly, their new first-line center on the squad. Gustav Nyquist also joins the squad. The New York Islanders, they made a couple splashes here. Matt Martin's still in the game here. Eh? Look at that line. Matt Martin, Jean-Gabriel Pageau, and Zach Kassian. Just the gooniest goon line you can find. The Pierre Engvall signings here, and obviously Sorokin got the extension. The New York Rangers, a little bit different of a team. They lose Tarasenko, they lose Patty Kane, but in the process of losing both those squads, they bring in Blake Wheeler, and then also, is he going to play? No, I don't think they have him there. But keep going to the Philadelphia Flyers, Sean Couturier. Nothing really happened with them. Pittsburgh Penguins, Sidney Crosby still in 93. The guy's an absolute beast, but they did add Riley Smith to the squad here. Stanley Cup champion Riley Smith, if I may say. The Seattle Kraken, don't remember them making too many moves, but obviously Shane Wright on the squad. Matty Berners should not be playing third line or probably have no X factors, but I don't make the rules here. Duclair heading over to the San Jose Sharks. Thomas Hertl, Barbanov, Eklund, a good, they're kind of going through a rebuild, and the next piece for them is going to be offloading Erik Karlsson and making a trade happen for that. The St. Louis Blues here, they'll go to the offense. I don't remember any big signings out of them. Verana got signed to the Blues a couple of years ago, I believe. Hasn't really played too much, but he, when healthy, is a very good player. The Tampa Bay Lightning, Connor Sheary comes on over. They lose Killorn, but nothing too big there. Obviously, Toronto Maple Leafs lose that first line in penalty killer in Ryan O'Reilly. Second, and then defensively, they lose one more person. Why is the name slipping my head? Oh, it is Justin Hall. And then they get John Klingberg. Moving on to the Vancouver Canucks, Kuzmenko up to an 86 in his second year in the NHL. That's pretty good. Bolivar, Mikheyev didn't make any too many big moves themselves. Vegas Golden Knights, defending Stanley Cup champions. Nothing big there. Phil Kessel's still on the squad. They benched him. Those mean human beings. The Winnipeg Jets lose Blake Wheeler, but they get Velarde, they get Nito Niederreiter, Nemastankov joins the team. So, and then obviously Rasmus Kapari as well. Going into the defense, I don't think they sent nothing there. And then finally, the last team here, the Washington Capitals, adding Max Pacioretty to the team on a team that is filled with a lot of big boys. And apparently Tom Wilson might get moved, so just keep your eye on that. TJ Oshie, 84 overall at 34 years old, so definitely getting a little bit older here. But those are the rosters. I'm going to simulate the year, and I'll let you know what happens. The simulation is done, and the President's Trophy champions are the Tampa Bay Lightning, New York, Vancouver, Toronto, Boston, Devils, Oilers, Sabres, Dallas, and to wrap up the top 10, the Washington Capitals. Honestly, I would say there's probably only 1 to 2 surprises in there. Probably Buffalo being that high is a little bit of a shocker, and Vancouver being at 3 is probably a little bit of a shocker as well here. But the New York Rangers, at one point, they were 21-1, so I'm surprised that they didn't end up winning the President's Trophy themselves. But who was the worst team? We'll go through all the teams. We'll go from 10, 11, 12. San Jose's pretty high up there. Winnipeg's pretty high. What good teams missed the playoffs? The Pittsburgh Penguins missed the playoffs. Kraken, Predators, Florida Panthers, Montreal, Colorado misses the playoffs. They finished 26th. The Blackhawks, obviously. The worst team in the league was the New York Islanders after all those signings. St. Louis, Ottawa, Anaheim, Arizona. All the top 5 worst teams, so not the best showing from a lot of those squads. For the Ottawa Senators, point leader is Tim Stützle, 67 points. But let's go look at the entire league here and see who led the way. I'm going to guess Ovechkin. Nope, not Ovechkin. It is going to be Austin Matthews, who scored 72 goals in 82 games, 121 points. Mitch Marner, so the Leafs duo had an amazing season. Steven Stamkos, Kucherov. Then you got the duo for the top 5 players are all from 2 teams. Patrick Laine, Ovechkin, Panarin, Gaudreau. Any people who change teams up here. McDavid only with 86 points. Let's be honest, that's not realistic. Erik Karlsson, 80 points again. The guy's an absolute freak of nature. I'm not seeing Connor Bedard, 79 points in his rookie season, 32 goals, 47 helpers. Matthias Maselli? This guy's probably playing with Bedard, but I've never seen him in my life. Kapril Kaprizov, Cale Makar, Shane Wright had a really good year, 77 points. Braden Point, Jesper Bratt, Tage Thompson, Taylor Hall probably playing with Connor Bedard there, 75 points. I mean, last year Boston played pretty well. Kind of underrated, to be honest. 61 points in 81 games. So he should be a good line mate with Mr. Connor Bedard. But playoff tree, let's see how it is. We have all of these as our first round matchups. Boston versus Toronto. I'm excited to see that one. Let's slow simulate it here. I will simulate round number 1. We'll keep it here. Round number 1, we will go. It might go a little bit further than round number 1 here, but we'll be able to monitor in the bottom corner here. I want to see if Toronto can get past Boston or if Boston still is going to haunt them. We can only see the West right now. Still just looking at the West. LA's moving on. Is it going to be LA versus Vegas? And I think Rangers versus Carolina on the other side. 3-2 for the Kings, and the Rangers sweep the I can't remember the team name. I'm losing it here. I'm losing it. The Carolina Hurricanes. Game 7 here. We got Vegas versus LA. Game 7. Who's gonna take it? And it can be Vegas versus Rangers. Vegas versus Rangers. Vegas can win the Stanley Cup in the simulation just like they did in real life. They lose game number 1. Game number 2 ties it up. So game number 3 goes to the Vegas Golden Knights. Game 4 to Vegas. Game 5 and Vegas Golden Knights are the Stanley Cup champions. What team do you think had the biggest impact in the free agency? Who do you think is going to be the biggest impact player to win the team the Stanley Cup? What's the worst signing? What's the best signing? Let me know that in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video. And always have a great day. See you later. Bye.